Today, we're going to talk about traveling with your bike. Specifically, how to do it, what to expect, and then we're going to compare two excellent bike bags so you can take your bike with you the next time you fly to a place with some gnarly single track to shred. Yeah, that's right. I said flying with your bike. As in checking it as luggage when you're jetting from one destination to another on a commercial airline. Because yes, you can check your bike as luggage when you fly on a commercial airline. Exciting stuff, right? But before you roll your bike into the airport, take it to the baggage check area, and toss it on the scale, there are a few things you're gonna need. Starting with something in which to transport your bike. Because no, you cannot just hand an airline employee your fully assembled bike at the bag drop and expect that to go smoothly. They're not gonna like it. You're gonna need either some sort of dedicated bike travel bag, like the two we're gonna talk about in a minute, or potentially even a bike box, like the one a bike might have been shipped in, whether that was to you or a bike shop near you. But the easiest thing to use by far is a dedicated bike travel bag, like the Dakine bike roller bag or the Thule round trip bike bag. But before we dive into deciding which type of bike bag you want, let's talk about some important things to consider when flying with your bike, starting with airline restrictions. First of all, most airlines treat bikes slightly differently than traditional luggage and have different size and weight restrictions, which usually works in your favor. It means bikes have more wiggle room in the size department, so you're less likely to be charged extra. But that does mean you'll want to look on your airline's website for details about special items or sports equipment. There you'll find details on whether oversized fees are waived for bikes, if there are different size restrictions, or if bikes cost extra, which they do on JetBlue and Hawaiian. And while most airlines have bike-specific size restrictions that accommodate their larger size, weight restrictions are another thing entirely. The specifics depend on the airline, but in general, if your bike is heavier than 50 pounds, you'll be charged an overweight fee, which could be double or more the price of a typical checked bag. We'll get into why that matters when picking out a bike bag in a minute. Then, when you arrive at the airport, while you'll probably drop off your bike at the regular check-in counter and bag drop, you'll probably pick up your bike at your final destination on the oversized baggage belt when you arrive. So don't sit around waiting at the regular baggage carousel and panic when your bike doesn't arrive. Go find the oversized area. Oh, and when you pack everything up before you head to the airport, don't forget tools like a torque wrench, Allen keys, and a portable pump. You're gonna need that stuff when you land. But then let's talk about bike bags. There are two main kinds, soft and hard. Well, almost two and a half. I would say the Thule round trip is kind of a cross between a soft and hard case. Soft cases are pretty much what they sound like. The base will be rigid, but the sides and walls will be fairly flexible. They're probably just slightly padded. And soft bags are nice for a few reasons. One, because they can fold up to take much less space in your garage or closet when they're not in use, and two, they tend to weigh a fair amount less than hard cases, and that matters because unless you're riding a carbon fiber bike that's super duper light, your bike and case together could very easily weigh more than 50 pounds, meaning you'd have to pay an overweight fee every time you fly with your bike. Then there are hard cases. Some people prefer these despite the fact that they take up more room when not in use and the fact that they weigh more, simply because they are more protective. After all, it's a lot harder to damage your bike when it's in a hard-sided case when it's getting tossed around luggage bays at the airport. So if you have an especially nice or expensive bike, it may be worth it to you to risk the overweight fee in order to have that peace of mind that comes with the additional protection. Then we have the Thule round trip, which I kind of said is right in the middle of a hard and soft case. That's because it collapses like a soft case, but it has semi-rigid side panels to help protect your bike a bit more than a traditional soft case during transport. We tested out both, so let's get into what we thought of these two bike bags specifically, because we definitely have some thoughts about both of them. Starting with weight. Now, I was reluctant to travel with the Thule bag for that reason alone. My mountain bike weighs about 28 pounds, and it's an extra small. The Thule bag weighs 30. For those of you who aren't good at doing math in your head, that's 58 pounds, as in overweight. And frankly, I'm not too keen on paying $100 to check my bike when a typical checked bag fee is only $35. That said, even the Dakine bag was pretty darn close to being overweight, even with almost nothing extra in the bag. It's just shy of 18 pounds, meaning I was able to toss my pedals and a couple of simple tools in the bag with my bike, but that was it. Anything more made it too heavy. But let's talk about ease of use, because while it may be heavier, the Thule was way nicer to wheel through parking lots and the airport. It has two nice big wheels on one end of the base, plus a removable caster wheel that you can easily pop on the bottom front in order to easily roll it across even fairly uneven surfaces. Think an experience closer to that of a four-wheeled roller bag that you can easily push around upright. The Dakine, on the other hand, got incredibly annoying to carry through the airport. There is a nice soft foam handle, but you have to lift the bag off the ground to pull it because there are only wheels on the back of the base. And lifting and pulling a 50-pound bag for more than about 5 minutes gets real old. That said, next time I travel with it, I will definitely attach a bit of webbing or an extender strap to that handle so that at least it doesn't have to be lifted up off the ground so far and wouldn't be running into my leg with every step I took. As for functionality, when it came to actually breaking down the bike and then getting it put back together again at the destination, the Dakine was fairly straightforward. While it did take a bit more time the first go round trying to figure out what buckles and straps were supposed to go where and how to position the included foam block to support the frame, once I had everything in there, it all felt pretty secure and I had no problem doing it again in less than 10 minutes when it came time to travel home. Was I still slightly worried when I dropped it at the bag drop at the airport? Maybe just a little bit afraid that my bike would arrive dented or scratched or damaged in some way? Sure. Yeah, but you know what? It didn't. True, I only flew with it once, but it arrived in exactly the same condition as it left me in, so win. When it came time to packing up the bike, the walls do just sort of collapse to the sides, which felt a little annoying to have to step around. I did actually just step on them from time to time. But when I packed my bag in the Thule bag later, the experience was pretty similar. The main difference between the bags when it comes to packing, however, is the Thule has a built-in stand on which you mount your bike outside the bag, take off the handlebars, the wheels, and then move the whole frame, still attached to the top of the stand, from the tripod legs to clip-in points on the bottom of the inside of the bag. Now, when I first saw this whole functionality and stand contraption, I thought it was a brilliant design feature. A secure way to mount my bike quickly and easily outside the bag, easily snap it in when ready, while also having a stand on which to disassemble and even work on my bike. Brilliant. However, in practice, I didn't actually find it all that much more usable. I mean, I guess it kept me from having to flip my bike upside down to remove the wheels and pedals, but the stand and mount only let you attach your bike after the front wheel has been removed. So yeah, it's still semi-useful, but the stand isn't adjustable. So since I'm not very tall, it put the bike at an uncomfortable height for me to be able to reach the mounting bracket for the handlebars. Now, that's only a problem if you're a woman of average height or a shorter than average male, but it's worth noting. Basically, I just didn't care for the stand feature all that much, and I found it kind of hard to remove from the base of the bag when it came time to reassemble the bike. It's just kind of awkward to get in there. Not a deal breaker, just awkward. Both bags had plenty of protective sheathing to wrap around the bike frame and parts. I wasn't worried about spokes getting bent or my frame suffering too much damage. Although I will say the Dakine had more individual protective wraps and pieces that were maybe a bit more convoluted and time consuming than the Thule, but nothing I consider a deal breaker. I mean, we're talking about minor differences here. Both had pockets to store pedals and bike tools, as well as plenty of room for extra bike bags or gear if you have enough wiggle room in the weight department, or, don't mind paying extra. As for sustainability, the Dakine is made of 100% recycled materials, so that's super cool. Both feel durable and should last for years and years of travel days to come. I mean, seriously, these bags are not deteriorating on you anytime soon. But one other important factor when considering these two travel bags, price. Yeah. There's a pretty big difference in the bags themselves. The Dakine is less than $500. The Thule is almost $1,000. And for many, that's going to be the deciding factor. But which would I choose? Well, my situation being what it is, as in since my bike is a bit on the heavier side, I'm going with the Decline just because I absolutely do not want to pay an exorbitant overweight fee every time I travel with my bike. And honestly, my bike isn't that expensive. Comparatively speaking, of course. That said, if I did have a carbon frame or a more expensive bike that I was committed to protecting at all costs, I think the Thule bag would be the right choice. Basically, depends on you and your bike. The Thule may be heavier and more expensive, but it will offer a bit more peace of mind when it comes to protection, without the rigidity and storage space requirements of a full hard case. The Decline might not seem as protective, but it did just fine at getting my bike to and from Texas without any problem. Plus, it was lighter and didn't require as much of an investment up front. But tell us what you think. Do you have one of these bags? Are you thinking of getting one? Let us know in the comments. Like, I'm actually super curious to hear which features are more important to you. Honestly, I'm fascinated. And naturally, we'll drop links to both of the bike bags in the description below. But you should also head over to terradrift.com where you'll find even more bike-related content, and you can check out our Instagram and Facebook page. We're at Terradrift. Then feel free to like this video and subscribe if you enjoyed it or found it helpful in any way. Then watch some of these other videos. I think you'll like them. Especially if, I don't know, you enjoy playing outside as much as I do. Either way, pack up your bike, take it with you the next time you head to Whistler or Bentonville or, I don't know, Fruita, and wander on.